Hello, SolarLoon here, and here is another Let's Discuss video. This one is going to be talking about it's kind of a double-headed sword here. I get a question every so often on my video talking about basically why do you use the BGE as opposed to like Unity or UDK or something to that effect. And it's interesting because, you know, I have my own reasons of like, oh, why I use the BGE. I find it to be just really easy to use compared to other engines. It's not perfect. There's, you know, I'm not a fanboy or anything like that. I'm objective. I know that there's a lot of errors, bugs. Development's kind of slow. It's picked up recently a lot due to Mokuri getting someone on the Blender Honors forums and developer of the game engine. He got a part-time job you know, fixing bugs and things like that, so that's really nice. But development's, you know, kind of slow usually. So I, you know, really appreciate his work and other developers' work as well. But it's just it's, you know, not as much as like Unity or things like that get updated, I'm guessing. But it just boils down to the BGE being so easy to use compared to like you know, JME3. Compared to Godot, compared to things like that. Godot, I'm waiting for it to get more developed, a few more features, a little more documentation, and I'd like to try it out. JME3 or JMonkey engine, it's just really difficult for me to personally get into it. I find that like, I just can't get it or understand it. Importing models, you know, making sure that they have their alpha, you know, textures are being transferred correctly so that, you know, the transparent parts are transparent and the opaque parts are opaque. You know, I get like 2 or 3 hours into it and I'm like, why am I spending so much time on this? I'm spending so much time just, you know, kind of learning the engine, and that's pretty much where I am. Like I say I want to learn a new engine, you know, because there's nothing wrong with learning new engines or trying different programming languages or anything like that. So I say I want to learn a new engine. I'm going to make a little game with this engine. Okay, so then I draw something up or I model something, and I try to import it into another engine, and I'm having trouble, and it takes a few hours, and I'm like, why am I spending so much time doing this? I know the BGE already can do this. I know it can do the idea I have. I know exactly how to use it. It's not hard. Why am I dealing with some other engine when I have an engine that I know pretty much perfectly right here? And that's pretty much where I always get, like, I get that far in, and I drop the engine, and I go back to the BGE, and then a few months later, I'm like, let me try JME again, let me try, you know, Godot again, let me try, you know, see how Polycode's doing, let me see, you know, this or that, and I get, like, 30 minutes in, or whatever, you know, a couple hours, and then I say, why am I spending so much time on this again? So that's pretty much where I am, when it comes to the BGE. I just know it really well, it's really easy to pick up, really easy to use. Now, you know, I know that Unity is a great engine. I know UDK is a great engine, great engines. But basically, the question I got, you know, going back to the original point that I was saying, question I got, which is, you know, why do you use the BGE so much? It's because I like it. But the question that kind of goes back beyond that, I saw a post on Reddit that said basically, why do you use Unity? And if so, why? And if not, why not? And it kind of, you see sometimes people say like, oh, I use UDK or I use Unity because everyone else does. Or I use UDK or Unity because it has the biggest feature set. That's okay. It's okay that it has a good feature set. It's okay that other people use it. But that's not really good reasons to use an engine by themselves. Like, just because everyone else drives a car doesn't mean you should as well. You could easily get by with a bike, or a motorcycle, or a scooter, or a skateboard, or whatever. Or you could walk. I mean, you know, if you live, you know, a block away from where you work, you know, do you need a car? Do you need a bike? You pretty much don't. You could just walk to work and walk to wherever you need to go. There's probably restaurants and grocery stores around. You know, so the point is, you don't want to do something just because other people are doing it. You don't want to get a game engine just because it's popular, just because, you know, it looks cool. What can it do? You know, when it comes to the feature set, what has the biggest feature set? You know, what's the point of having power to do anything if you never use that power? The BGE is by far not the most powerful engine, but it's more than powerful enough, should be more than powerful enough to make the kind of games I want to make. And a lot of that, you know, power that other engines have, the BGE may not have, but I just have to optimize, I just have to, you know, think about my design, which is what I would have to do with other engines anyway. I mean, poor code and poor design in UDK is going to be poor code and poor design in the Blender game engine. It's going to be poor code and poor design in Unity. It's going to be poor code and poor design everywhere. So if I can optimize it to make it run better, I should do it in Blender rather than jump to Unity or UDK, learn that engine, and then learn how to optimize my code. Like I'm going to have to do it anyway. Now, when it comes to choosing an engine, you should choose something that you like, basically. UDK or Unity, I know that a lot of people love those engines. They find it really useful or easy to use. That's great. I know that they're quality engines, but you shouldn't just say like, oh, the UDK has the biggest feature set, so I'm going to go with that. Well, I mean, look at what you need. If you don't need all the stuff of UDK, why purchase it or why use it? If you don't need the quality stuff of Unity, why do you use it? For example, Unity. What is the kind of stuff? If I had Unity Pro, or we'll say Unity Free, because Blender's free, Unity Free is free, of course. So what is the kind of stuff that I need for Gearend? I need render to texture. I need 2D filters, screen filters. Unity doesn't support that kind of stuff. I don't think the free version. The pro version I believe does. The free version I don't believe does. So that's kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to use that stuff in Blender, then I kind of would need it in Unity Free. They're kind of optional, but I would like to have it in Unity Free. It's not there. Render to texture, not there in Unity Free, I don't think. Unity Free has great porting ability, right? So it can go to like Windows, Mac, Linux, I think Flash, mobile. Okay, I'm not going to use mobile. I don't make games for phones and stuff, so that's not really that useful. Making it for Flash, not useful. Again, it's nice to be able to make a Flash game, but I mean, the games I make are probably going to be bigger games, either in size or in length, so no one really would. I wouldn't feel like people would want to like open up a web browser and play them there. So like the porting ability doesn't really matter to me. Making games for consoles, that's a nice feature. I only have a Wii U though, so I would only be able to make it for that. So I might look into it to make games for Wii U, because that I would like to try that. But yeah, I don't have a PS4, I don't have an Xbox One, so if they can go to those engines, or rather those platforms, that'd be nice, but I wouldn't really use it. So I mean, like as you can see, for me, for my purposes, walking through these steps, I don't really need Unity Free or Unity Pro or any particular engine so much as just something that I feel comfortable with, that I work well with. If you want to port to Windows, Mac, Linux, web, all this stuff, then yeah, Unity or UDK if it supports it. I don't think UDK supports Linux. You have to check on their page, but use something that you're comfortable with, that affords you the best features for what you need. You shouldn't say, well, I'm going to go with Unity or UDK because it has the best features, or because I'll need those things eventually at some point, maybe. Well, I mean, unless you're really like pushing the envelope in terms of every conceivable part of your game, you probably don't need all the features that any engine offers you. You don't need all of them at the same time. In Gearend, which is going to be a relatively medium-sized game, I think. Like, I'm not going to need, vehicle physics. I'm not going to need, a lot of the things that Blender can offer me, and that's Blender. Much less if I had Unity Pro, and much less if I had UDK or something like that. Obviously there's some foresight involved here. You might want to learn an engine even if you don't need the feature set, but if you spend, the time and energy to learn Unity or UDK now, then you'll know it when you do need the feature set, or you'll know it when you are trying to make something complex. That's always something to consider as well, is you want to pick up an engine that will grow with you, right? That will become bigger and better. So anyway, that's just what I'm rolling back to, is not so much why I use why I use the Blender game engine, or why I don't use another engine, but why should anyone use any engine? Why should you choose an engine? Why should you make an engine? Because when you think about the maximum capability, you would probably get the maximum capability out of making the engine yourself. You know it the best. You'd be able to port it to pretty much everything. You would know the best how to, and if it was possible, to port it to another engine. Any bugs you find, you can fix, because you know the source better than anyone, and you would basically, any bugs that get introduced are from you, so you know them as best as possible as well. So like, making your own engine or making your own games from scratch would be like the fastest, most efficient, I guess, the most potential to have efficiency way to make a game. But obviously most people don't want to be concerned with making the engine. They just want to make the game. I'm included. So when it comes to choosing an engine, you want to make sure you choose one that's comfortable, easy to use, that grows with you. You don't want to like go with a dead engine or something like that, unless you plan to revive it and develop the source and stuff yourself. But you want to choose an engine that will work well for your projects. And so that's where I think a lot of people kind of miss, is just like, oh, I go with Unity because it's so popular, or I go with UDK because it looks nice, or whatever, without thinking of, do I need those features? Do I need, if you're making a pure 2D game, you could try Hax and HaxePunk, or you could try GameMaker or Enigma. You could try, Flash, ActionScript and like FlashPunk or Flash Flixel, or you could try HTML5, or you could try Construct Classic, or you could try, a lot of things. Multimedia Fusion. A lot of good 2D games were made with like Multimedia Fusion and the Games Factory. Man, so many Sonic fan games I've played over the years were made with like Multimedia Fusion, the Games Factory. Man, so it's you want to choose an engine that works well for you. So find an engine, does it work well for you? Are you comfortable with the scripting language or with its visual programming language? Does it work well? Does it output well? Cool. That's kind of the important things when it comes to choosing an engine, is making sure that it will support your project. And you can always ask on forums. That's the thing too. If you're unsure of like, oh, will this work? How's the executable distribution for Blender? You can go ahead and ask on the forums, the Blender artist forums, and say, how do you guys get around the executable distribution thing? Is it working okay? Can I make an executable that will run on other people's computers? What's the requisites, if there are any, for Blender? I think it's Visual C++ redistributable. I think that's what Blender requires, and I know that Blender requires different things on Linux specific libraries, I believe. So you can kind of ask those questions and get those answers, so you can feel more prepared and feel more in control of which engine you choose and what is good and bad about an engine. Because no engine is perfect. Every engine has different issues and problems. You don't want to listen to people who say, this engine is perfect. There's no engine better. Because no engine is perfect. No engine is, the best engine for everything at all times. Especially, a lot of people would probably have said Unity was the best until UDK dropped their price to $17 a month. Now, all of a sudden, maybe UDK is a good engine, right? Now it's in the reach for your pretty much bottom level indie developer. So it's like, well, now UDK is pretty much something anyone can try out. So anyway, you want to make sure that you ask people who are experienced with the game engine what they think about the engine and what they like about the engine, as well as what they don't like about other engines, or how much experience they have with the engine they're using, as well as other engines that they've tried out. And there's nothing wrong with trying out different engines as well. That's the final kind of thing is, don't feel like you're locked to any one engine. Just try different ones, keep up with them. There's not too many 3D ones, to be honest, which is unfortunate. There's not that many 3D libraries or engines out there. There's like Panda 3D, Blender, Unity, UDK, Godot, Polycode when it's released, Shiva 3D, and that's basically, that's some of the ones that I've heard about. I don't want to say that's basically it, because if anyone has heard of other 3D frameworks or engines, please let me know. Put it in the comments or whatever, because a cross-platform 3D game engine is kind of difficult to find, especially an engine and not just a framework, but like an engine that has an editor, things like that. That's very rare to find nowadays. Well, not nowadays. It's just rare to find. It's getting less rare with the invention of Polycode and other engines like that, Godot. But hopefully we'll be seeing more engines, more development, especially as time goes on. So anyway, that's just a little Let's Discuss kind of video, talking about why people choose engines and what they should look for, I feel like, in engines they choose. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLoon, and you have fun.